So let's get started. I've always told you guys I'm very particular about seafood. So when you buy it from me at the farmer's market, I like to put it on ice and then give you the little speech about you. If you're not going to eat it right away, you take it home, you take a pie pan, just your everyday pie pan, whether it's a glass, here's my miniature version, but you put a little ice in there and you just sit that crab meat right inside there till you're ready to prepare it. Then you're going to put it in your refrigerator on the bottom shelf back. That's the coldest part of your refrigerator, so that's the obvious place to keep all seafood, which I happen to have some in here. And all this is Eastern Shore, Maryland, fresh picked jumbo lump. So I only bring the finest quality meats to the farmer's market. As many of you know, I was a commercial fisherman myself, crabbed and oystered and fished on Chesapeake Bay and the Tangier Sound. I own a home in Deal Island still, but no longer on the water, now married to a farmer and being a farmer's wife. So you get to enjoy the fullest and best of both worlds because of that. So right now what I do is I get my jumbo lump from some of the guys I used to sell my product to. So this particularly comes out of a place named Cool Ice. And of course they are, legal in all their health permits and all that great stuff. They've been in business for years, and I just always find that I get really good quality stuff from them, so that's why I choose them. So what I tell you guys is once you're ready to go ahead and actually prepare your meal, there's always steps I want you to take in advance of that. So you bring it home, you put it on ice at the bottom shelf. You're saying, okay, look, I'm going to have this for lunch this afternoon, or I'm possibly going to have it tomorrow, so that's why I'm storing it. What I want you to do is I want you to take either a glass, ceramic, or a stainless bowl, not plastic. Plastic holds smells, and it also holds bacteria very easily. And again, with seafood, you want to be extra careful, something that you can sanitize very easily. So then what you do is you take either a couple quality paper towels. I happen to buy less expensive towels, so I usually use 3 of them. And then I just fold them down against each other, and I go ahead and line that mixing bowl just like that, very easy. Then I open up my crab meat, and this is whether it's frozen or fresh. I mean, this is just something you want to do. So if it's been frozen previously, and it's partially thawed out, or if it's completely frozen, you know when you're going to prepare the meal. So you want to give yourself at a minimum 2 hours. Overnight really is best, and I've even left it sit 2 nights in my refrigerator, bottom shelf back, with the meat right in there. So you just turn it upside down like that, and it's sitting in there. And if you're having problems opening this and separating the meat from this because it was previously frozen, you just run a little water over, a little cold water, and just give it a little squeeze. It'll loosen up. Same thing, pop the lid and turn it over. Then what you're going to do is you're going to take one more paper towel and never squeeze. You pay for jumbo lump. You want it to be jumbo lump when you eat it. So you never squeeze your crab meat. So then you're just going to very carefully lay this over. You're just going to sort of form it around it. Again, never squeezing. Even though it's frozen, you don't want to injure the meat. So now I have this nice little form paper towel, and I have people who are coming this Sunday to Palisades to buy these crab cakes that I'm making. So I am going to be making 4 pounds. You, on the other hand, are going to just share 1 pound of prep with me. All right, so bottom shelf that goes. And for the moment, I am going to, first thing you do is you remove the top paper towel. And sometimes meat sticks to it, okay? So you see how it's broke up and it's thawed out. You just want to pick those pieces of meat off, put them back in there. Turn it over, get rid of that, quickly shake that out and remove it. Don't work over your meat, work away from it. Get back to that dirty pot. And at this point, again, we're not going to be wasting jumbo lump, so I'm just going to pick off some of this meat that's stuck. So then you're going to take a bigger mixing bowl, like so, and you are just going to quickly turn it over, get rid of that, quickly shake that out and remove it. Don't work over your meat. Work away from it. Get back to that dirty pot. And at this point, again, we're not going to be wasting jumbo lump. So I'm just going to pick off some of this meat that's stuck. Okay, now before I get my hands deep in the pot, I always like to wash the end. All right, so now what I have is this beautiful white meat, nice and flaky, no dampness at all, just beautiful chunks of jumbo lump meat. Now I'm actually gonna use this mixing bowl to prep, so I'm gonna first get all that meat out of there, no waste. Then I'm gonna give it a rinse because that's what it sat in overnight while it thawed out and drained. Okay. And then we're gonna come back here. People always ask me, well, how is your crab cake gluten-free or dairy-free or whatever those things, you know, options are that you want? Well, the main reason is I don't use any kind of filler to make it fatter. My crab cakes are 4 ounces each, and there's not a stitch of bread in them. So what I use as the staple and the substance that binds everything together is a red skin potato. Now some of you may prefer a Yukon, a yellow skin, a white skin potato. I just happen to like red skin potatoes, so that's what I use for my personal crab cakes. When I make them for the market, I usually use a white skin potato because sometimes the color can freak people out. So as we know, most of the vitamins are, well, actually all the vitamins and the minerals in your potato are found in the skin, and I like to use the skin for that exact reason. We're trying to get a healthy, delicious product. 1 potato per pound of meat. So when I sit down and I do 8 pounds, I also do 8 potatoes. But I do find it better to not do all of them at one shot. So I usually do 2 or 3 pounds at a time, and I just found that from practice. It just mixes nicer. So the first thing I'm going to do is cut this into chopping size pieces. And it is important that you get them in chopping size pieces because you're going to actually get this down to the point where it's nearly just foamy. So I do strips, and always keep your fingers turned in. Just a few tricks I've learned over the years, and go ahead and, you know, you want to chop them up as fine as possible. So once you get the edges off, you can do a couple of them at a time. Same thing. Do strips. Okay. I love the way the potatoes smell. Get those chopped up as little as I can because this is just step 1, right? I got to get these guys so that they're foamy. So first things first, let's get them down into... This does take a little bit of time here, you know, to get this down to where you want it, that nice foamy sensation. But remember this, your crab meat's already cooked, and the last thing you want to do is overcook your crab meat. And if you don't make your potato small enough, that's what's going to end up happening, okay? You don't want to have to cook the crab cake to cook the potato. The potato is strictly a binder. It's not something we should have to think about when frying the crab cake. It's just a secondary thing. And you want to make sure that it's going to cook quickly and easily, because all you're doing is browning the crab meat and getting that outside nice brown crust on it that just adds to the flavor. So this ended up being a really good sized potato once I got it cut up. Probably could have picked a smaller one. So I'm not even going to use this whole potato, so which is good. That just saves me some time for this next pound of meat I'm getting ready to make. So again, just want to make sure. I mean, there's no really quick way to do this. I thought about trying it in the juicer, but then what happens is it actually separates the skin from the potato, and it doesn't cut the skin up finely, and just sort of ruined the whole thing. And I was like, that's not going to work. But I'm always looking for ways to improve and quicken the recipe because I am a very busy person, as most of you are. And I have to tell you, no one's ever told me that, oh, that was a waste of time. Everyone's always said, wow, what a difference. I can't believe how great and how different and how improved that crab cake was. All I know is when I eat a crab cake, I want to taste crab meat, nothing more. All right, so let's go back to this nice pot of meat. And what I'm going to do is just sprinkle some of that in there and start and see what happens. Then I need to get the rest of my ingredients in here because I'm actually going to heat it up a little bit before I pour it over the crab meat. It just helps it to soak in better, almost marinade while you're prepping your crab cakes. So we start with the duck egg. I prefer the duck egg. It's a little richer, it's a little creamier. The white is much denser than a chicken egg, so I also believe that that helps as a binder in my particular recipe. And I do include the yolk, but for those of you who don't use yolks and you want to keep a straight white cake, that's perfect. You can just spoon it out and go on about your business with the rest of the recipe. So as I've told you, because of the oyster shell that we feed our chickens, and our ducks, it makes these eggshells extremely strong. So in order to get in here, again, no muss, no fuss, and not having shells cracking everywhere, I just take the knife and I give it a nice, like so, and as you can see, it's got a perfect split. Then the two thumbs, bam, there we go. I don't measure, you know, the lady that taught me, you know, my recipe, she didn't measure, and I just do as she does. So the next thing is, let me get a paper towel here. The next thing we're gonna add is a spoon of butter. This happens to be a tablespoon, but I'm not measuring and I'm not thinning or thickening. I'm just, you know, as you can see, taking that much, hardly anything. I like to use the real McCoy, but you can you could use coconut oil, or you could use extra virgin olive oil in place of butter. So these are just options. This is cream cheese. This is one of my secret ingredients. And again, we're not going for overkill. We're not trying to eliminate crab meat taste. We are just adding to it. We want an assortment. We want a burst of flavors in there. And I just love my crab meat to be buttery, sweet, and tasty. Then everybody overkills the mustard. You're not trying to change the color. Again, you just want that little zap. So always shake the mustard first, even the brand names. And then just give it one little squirt. As you see, that probably wasn't even maybe a half a teaspoon. Same with the Worcestershire. This just gives it a little bite. Okay, just a little shot. Bam, that's it. No overkill. Another little secret ingredient here is our honey. A little plop of that. Something that's important to know about honey, the darker it is, the more reality that it's the real McCoy. The lighter it is, there's every possibility that those bees are drinking sugar water. And if you're a diabetic and you're using honey to eliminate cane sugar from your diet, that's something you need to know. So I feel confident always about doing business with the Mennonites because I know them to be honorable people. All right, so now we're going to just whip. And then I'm just going to stick it in the microwave just for a few seconds, get that cream cheese just a little melted. So I'm just going to do a quick, maybe 20 seconds. I just want it to get soft. So as I'm whipping it, it will be turned into a nice marinade that I can then drizzle over. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Ready to prep. So it doesn't take long. Like I said, you just want to make sure that's whipped up real good because you want a nice even distribution over the meat. Some people like to add a little salt and pepper at this point. I generally will cook with pepper but not salt because I find people add salt whether I use it or not. So that way I have some good conscience knowing I didn't add to their salt intake. So now I am just going to very carefully pour that over. I don't want to leave anything behind because every bit is going to be needed. All right. Now what we have is a meat potato and now ingredients drizzled over. So I always tell people, you see the size of this fork? Not a spoon, not a fork that you eat with, not a salad fork, a meat fork. You want to fold this all together. The last thing you want to do is pull your jumbo lump apart. So now we have this beautiful mix. It's nice and thick. And then what I do when I'm preparing for my clients is I will actually get a piece of wax paper or whatever works. I'm going to be using, today, I'm going to be using Reynolds Wrap. We've washed our hands. And I turn what is a pound of crab meat into 4-ounce crab cakes. So that's 4 crab cakes. I'm gonna spread these into, divide these into 4 cakes because I like them pretty much to be as even as possible. Because I'm not gonna measure them on a scale, but you can. If you want to be that specific, you can. So these are actually probably going to be a little bit more than 4 ounces each. But what you know is there's 16 ounces in a pound, right? So you're getting 4 ounces of meat in each crab cake, without a doubt. It's not being spread thin to make 6 or 8. You're the one making them. 1 crab cake is a meal if it's 4 ounces. I mean, it's the perfect amount of meat. So here we go. So here it is. This is not a meatball. This is not a hamburger. This is jumbo lump. You see how gently that I am putting this together. Once I've gently, because it's all lump inside there, I don't want to mess that up. Once I get it gently put together, then I just give it a little pat, like so. I lay it on that tin foil. Ooh, she's trying to come apart. Get in there. Okay. Number 2. And if for some reason, which there shouldn't be, shell in jumbo lump, but if for some reason you were to feel a piece of shell, you don't want to pick it out till after it's cooked. It's not going to hurt you. It's not going to affect the meal. But if you go try to pick a piece of shell out of the meat, it will just start pulling the meat apart. So you're best off, just let it cook. And it's much easier to identify once it's cooked because it turns bright white. And if you're eating it with a fork, you'll come across it and you'll very easily be able to pluck it right out. And the last one, I always use the actual meat to go around and collect all the loose meat so that my pan is super clean from meat. Again, we're not going to waste any of this delicacy. A lot of work. Okay. Then what I do is I take just a little pancake mix, dry pancake mix. And I do this strictly for freezing and sticking purposes. So I'm just gonna, where's that? Just gonna grab a little dash of it, like so. Again, it's not for anything other than this, right? And then I will individually freeze these, just like you see them. And then off to the freezer they go. Okay, it's in there for dinner, lunch. Let's stick those in there. And I am actually gonna, if I were gonna cook them tonight, I'd let them sit in there for about 20 minutes. Right, so they froze and then I would just transfer them to my refrigerator. We'll take them back out of there like so. And you know, we're not looking for this perfect hamburger shaped crab meat. We want it just to taste good. That's the bottom line. So I like a really shallow pan, but definitely a non-stick pan. I cook on gas, so you want to keep the flame a little lower. And again, you could use choices of coconut oil, extra virgin olive oil, or my favorite, real butter. Let's go ahead and do coconut oil. That's just my favorite. Gives a little bit of a different zing to it when I'm cooking for my family. I would just lightly spray my pan here. Put it on there. We're gonna bring that to a very light. All right, so let's go ahead and might as well do this. You know what? They don't take very long. They're excellent. You know, my telling you all the steps, it goes much quicker when you're doing it yourself. But you know, I wanted you to see all the steps individually and understand why you're doing it. So, but when you're sitting down in your own kitchen doing this, it's very quick. It's one of the quickest meals. And I prefer wood paddles, or you could use like a short blade spatula like this. Something that's going to cover the whole cake when you flip it, because the last thing you want is for it to fall apart. All right, so this is getting to perfect heat. All right, so the idea is we let this turn to a golden brown. Once, boy, that smells good. Once we start seeing this outer edge turn golden brown, then we're allowed to touch it, not before. And once we flip it, that's the only flip it gets. What we're doing is we are browning both sides. We are allowing that chopped potato to cook, which should only take several minutes if you've chopped it up finely. All right. Oh, we didn't want that to happen. Good eye, Dana. See, that's why I get off on cooking. All right, so we're gonna gently flip her over. This one's looking falling a little apart. Yeah, the idea is patience and to stay right there with it. Yum. Don't be afraid to add a little more spray or butter if necessary, which I'm going to. Again, the gas, direct fire, it burns a lot hotter, of course, than an electric range. You know, so just be wary of what you're doing. Patience and slow, low flame. And in about 1 minute, this crab cake will These crab cakes will be all you're going for is an ever gentle browning. If you want a more crispy brown, then you do it in butter. Just a nice little graze across the whole pan. So it's not quite deep frying, but it is definitely giving it a fry. And in this case, I didn't want to do the fry. I just did the coconut oil spray. So this is an extremely healthy meal. Yes, the cream cheese had a little bit, but it was just a little dash of fat. And I think we can live with that for its flavor it adds. So last of all is the most important thing of all, which is, let's taste this bad boy. Here we go. It's hot. Now that's a crab cake.